Hello everyone, this is Jyotsna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we will see the JavaScript topic conditional statements. So we have different types of conditional statements we use while do the Java coding. Conditional statements are used to perform the different action for different decisions. Decision means condition. If we have to write some code where we need to check if certain condition is true or false, and after that, if the condition is true, we need to execute some code for that true conditions. Then we use conditional statements to write that type of code. There are four types of conditional statements: if statement, if else statement, if else if statement, and switch statements. We will see in details for all these four statements with example and syntax for it. So first we will start with JavaScript if statements. So if statement is used to specify a block of code to be executed if the given condition is true. Means here we are checking a certain condition is true, and if that condition is true, we are executing a given block of code for that condition. So syntax says if is a keyword we are using for the if statements, and in the bracket we are giving the conditions, and if that condition is true, we are giving some block of code to be executed if that condition is true. So here this is the flow chart we have for the if statements. So when if statements come into the picture while we write a code, we check if the condition given in if statements is true or false. If the statement is true, then we will execute the code which is given into this curly braces, which is into this block. And if the condition is false, we will directly skip this block of code and execute the next statement in our code. So if it is true, if first we will execute the block, and after that we will execute the next statements in our code after the if condition. So one of the example is given here. I have just initialize and declare one variable age here. Variable age is equal to 20, and I'm checking one condition where age is greater than 18. So I'm checking it with the if statements. If age is greater than 18, which is here, now the condition is true because I have initialize the age value as 20. So 18 age is greater 20 is greater than 18, so the condition is true here. So that time it will execute this code in our um, block code here. So it will write that qualifies for driving, so this will get executed now. So here the if keyword is in lowercase. In JavaScript, we use it in lowercase only. So if we use uppercase, any of the letter in this if keyword, we use it in uppercase, it will generate the JavaScript error. So this is all about the if statement in JavaScript. But sometimes happens here only we are condition checking if the condition is true. But there are some cases where we need to execute some block when the condition is false also. Means if condition is true, execute some block of code, and if it is not true, then execute some other block of code. But that time we can't use this statement if statement. So that time we use if else statements. So here the if else statement performs the different action for the different decisions, means for true also and for false also. If the condition is true, then if part, and the condition is false, then else part. Here the JavaScript if else statement is used to execute the code whether condition is true or false. This is the syntax for it: if condition, and it will execute this block of code, otherwise else it will execute this block of code. And here is the flowchart for it. So in this flowchart you can see here we are checking the if condition, and if it is true, it will execute the if block of statements, and if it is not, it will execute the else code, means else block of statements. And after that it will execute the remaining after the block, remaining code will get executed. So one of the example is given here: if hour is less than 18, greeting is equal to good day, and if it is not, its greeting is good evening. So here we are checking this condition. If this is true, it will execute this block of code, and if this is false, it will execute else part of the code. So this is one of the very easy and most of the time used if-else statements while writing the code in JavaScript. So there are also some time when we need to check more than one conditions while writing the code. That time we use if-else if statements. Means here this statement is an advanced form of if-else that allows the JavaScript to make a correct decision out of several conditions. So previously we used only one condition to check if it is true or not. Now here we are using several conditions using if else if statements here. So this is the syntax for it. If this condition is true, it will execute this block of code. Otherwise, now again it will check for other conditions. That time we write else if another condition, the second condition. And for that condition, if the second condition is true, it will execute this block of code. And after that, next condition. So we can have n number of conditions here with else if keyword. And at the last, we will take the else keyword. And here, if none of the condition is true previously, it will execute this block of code, else block of code. Here also this flowchart is given the same. If condition 1 is true, it will execute statement 1, and if not, if false, it will check for condition 2 and it will execute the statement 2. And with like this, it will execute the whatever the n number of conditions, and the corresponding if condition is true, then it will execute the corresponding code of block. And after that, next statement in our code. So one of the example is given here. If time is less than 10, greetings, good morning. Else if, again I'm checking if time is less than 20, means if this condition is false, then it will check for this condition and it will execute that block of code. Otherwise, if none of the condition is true, it will execute the else part, which is good evening. So this is all about if else if statements. Next is JavaScript switch statement. So here JavaScript switch statement is used to execute one code from a multiple expressions. Here we have given different cases for the condition or expression which we have in our code. So it is convenient that if else if because it can be used with numbers and characters. And here the switch expression is evaluated only once, means this expression is compared one by one with all the cases we have given, and when the first case is true, then it will come out of the loop. If there is a match, the associated block of code is executed. When one of the case is true, the associated block will get executed and it will come out of the loop. If there is a no match, the default code block is executed. So this is the syntax for switch statements. Switch and then expression for the switch block, and into the block we will check for all the cases here, case X, case Y, and for every case we need a break keyword. If that case is true, then it will execute the code and it will break, means it will come out of the loop. And at the last, default expression is default case is there. So for every case we have a certain block of code to be executed. This is the flowchart for the switch statement. So first we will give the conditional statements. If this condition is satisfy the first case, it will execute the corresponding statements, and if not, if it is false, it will check for the second case, and if it is true, then it will execute the corresponding statements, and if it is still false, it will check for the next case. So likewise, until it get a certain case as true, it will check for the next cases in switch statements. And if none of the case is true, then it will execute the default statement. So a default case here. So default case with the default statements. So this is the example, one of the example for switch cases. Here what we are doing is in switch we are checking the today's day. So new here I am creating the object for date where I am getting the today's date. If today is a Sunday, It will go one by one, check for the cases. Case 0, here day is Sunday, so it will this condition will get pass here. So this day Sunday is matching here, so it will execute this code and it will execute this breaks keyword here, and it will come out of the loop and will execute the next statements in our code. And today is not a Sunday, so today is like Thursday, so it will one by one check for the cases 0, case 1, case 2, 3, 4. So at case 4 it will get passed, so it will execute this code and these statements, and it will come out of the loop for the switch statements. Here, the break keyword is used when the JavaScript reaches a break keyword. It breaks out of the switch blocks. Mean whenever we use break keyword, it will come out of that loop, and this will stop the execution inside the switch block. So we use it to stop the execution inside the switch block. Here, if you omit the break statement, the next statement, if I omit this break statement from case 0, and if this is the true true case for the switch statement, it will execute this and it will again go to the case 1 to check, and it will execute that one also. So to to avoid that, we use the break statements to come out of the loop. So the default keyword. So here, if none of the case is true, then we use default keyword here, default statements, and we will execute that statements. Here, the default keyword specifies the code to run if there is a no case match, and the default case does not have to be the last case in the switch box. Means we can use that as a first case in our switch statement also. So this is about the switch statements. So there are some rules while we use switching between the cases. If multiple case matches is a case value, the first case is selected. Means some of the expression might have different cases which is matches to the expression. That time, the first one which is get executed will be selected. If no matching cases are found, the program continues to the default label. And if no default label is found, the program continues to the statements after the switch. So it will not execute any of the statement in switch block. And switch cases use strict comparisons. The value must be of the same type to the match. Then only it will go into the switch statements. A strict comparison can only be true if the operands are of the same time. Both operator and operand should be of the same time. Then only switch statement will give the correct condition statement expressions. So these are the some of the rules while we need to keep in mind while switching using switch statements in JavaScript. So these are all about the four conditional statements we use while doing the coding in JavaScript. Thank you so much for watching the video.